Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse. Mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running toes, they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back with another episode. Today we're going to be previewing the week 2 of the college football 2025-2026 season. Before I do that, I'd like to ask that you leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps the channel, helps the network, it helps my channel, CTC, by way of the Refuse to Lose network. Now, like I said, this is a network, and we do have other shows. We have the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave every Tuesday and Friday, 7 to about 8:30ish. We got Unfazed every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. That's featuring Joe and AJ. BWT, Baseball with Teddy. He drops episodes that aren't live, so just be on the lookout for when he drops. FFC, Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs. Fantasy season has started, so make sure you get your tidbits from him. Dave's Doghouse, highlights and lowlights of sport. Real Ball is only hosted by Vaughn. That's NBA show. In the Red Corner, featuring Ty, Ricky, and Tomo. Boxing episodes every other Sunday around 7 o'clock. And that's all the shows we have on the network for y'all. So please like, comment, and subscribe to those networks as well, those channels as well, excuse me. And if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now, we're just going to hop right into week 2, man. We're not going to play no games. We're going to hop right into it. I have about 13 to 15 games for y'all today to look out for. And we're going to start with the first game, which I think is going to be really good. Illinois at Duke. Illinois coming into this one is 3.5-point favorites. This game is today at noon on ESPN. I think this is going to be a really good game, a really defensive battle. If you're new here, the way I do my previews, I give 5 keys for each team, and I pick a winner and explain why briefly. So we're going to start with Illinois because I start with the road team first, who's ranked 11th. They got to establish Aiden Lawfrey, the running back for Illinois, just establish the run game in general. You got to, in a game that's going to be defensive, you got to establish your mark to be able to run the ball. Contain Darian Miss's legs. He is a very talented sophomore quarterback who adds an extra dimension on the ground with those legs. So you have to make sure to contain him. Next, you have to protect the football. If you're Luke Altmaier, you got to protect the football in a defensive battle. You can't give teams short fields and or extra possessions. So make sure you protect the football. Force turnovers. Again, defensive battle. One way to win those is to force those turnovers. And last but not least, win the field position battle because, again, very defensive. Now for Duke, establish Anderson Castle to transfer from App State. Always, like I said, want to establish the run. Duke, in my opinion, wants to stay ahead of the chains. I know Darian Miss is a really good quarterback, but you want to stay ahead of the chains. You don't want to get susceptible to third and longs against this Illinois defense who has guys like Miles and Xavier Scott, guys who can take the ball away. Make these Illinois receivers beat you. Illinois has to replace the production of Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant of last season. So who's going to step up for them? Make them have to step up. If you're Duke, Darian Mitchell has to use his legs and run. And you got to start better than last week. Last week they played Elon, and they started off super slow. I want to say it was like 17-10, or actually tied at halftime 10-10 before they finally pulled away late game against Elon. They got to start off better, man. You can't get off in the slow start against the Illinois team who could, like I said, they can take the ball away. They play really good defense, and they have the potential to score. So you don't want to start off as slow as you did last week. But I'm going with Illinois. I'm going to take Illinois in this one. I picked them in the offseason. I think Illinois is the better defense. Illinois is the more like cohesive team. They bring back a lot of players. Altmaier had a really good year last year. He had a really good start to the season this year. And I just think with that continuity on offense and defense, I know Duke's at home, and that's going to be a tough environment. But I think Illinois could pull it out, force some turnovers, and get the W against Duke on the road. Next, we have Iowa at Iowa State. Iowa State comes into this game ranked 16th in the country. Oh, I'll do Pro Talk tomorrow. But no, I'll do it at the end of the show. 16th in the country, 12 o'clock on Fox. Iowa contain Rocco Beck, man. Rocco Beck is huge. He is super dynamic. He gets things done. He's just so tough to stop for a defense. You got to key in on him. Mark Gronowski has to be a better thrower of the football this week. Now, I think he's coming back off the injury, so that's why I talked about him. But he has to throw the ball better this week. They have to stop the run. Iowa State is predicated on on the run. They're predicated on running Carson Hansen and Abu Sama. So you got to stop the run if you're Iowa. Will Kamari Moulton step up if he comes back? If he comes back from injury. If not, will Xavier Williams take up? Oh, wait, hold on. Who will step up for Kamari Moulton if he comes back? That's what it says. Who will step up if Kamari Moulton comes back? And will it be Xavier Williams, who stepped up last week in the absence of Kamari Moulton? And who will step up at receiver? They lost Reese Vandersee. They lost him. So who's going to step up at the receiver position for him? Now for Iowa State, you got to run Rocco back. Run him. You got to establish that dual threat. Got to contain Mark Gronowski's legs. You want to make Mark Gronowski a passer. So you got to contain his legs. Keep Iowa behind the chains because Iowa don't want to throw the ball. They don't. That's not what they've been of recent. They just been running the ball. Last year, they somehow put up 40 with Caleb Johnson just running the ball, but they don't want to really pass. Force turnovers. So you want to force turnovers. Establish Carson Hansen and Abu Sama. Like I said, Iowa State loves to establish the run, and those are the two running backs that could do so. But my winner is Iowa State. I think Iowa State takes the rivalry for 2 years in a row. Iowa State, to me, is just a better team. Like, they play really good defense, i.e. the K-State game. They can get after it offensively with Rocco Beck. He's just so dynamic, so big for this team. And Iowa has a lot of question marks offensively that I don't know if this game will answer. So I'm going to roll with Iowa State in this one. It's 3.5-point home favorites. Give me Iowa State. Next, we have Baylor at SMU. Now, this is a really good game. Baylor coming off a big loss coming off a loss to Auburn at home. On the road to take on 17th ranked SMU. SMU comes into this one as 2.5-point home favorites. This game is 12 o'clock on the CW network. For Baylor, they have to contain Kevin Jennings' legs. That is huge because last week they could not contain Jackson Arnold. The Auburn Tigers ran for over 300 yards last week against Baylor. So containing Kevin Jennings' legs will be huge in this one. Get the ball to Cole Wilson. Now, I know they got other guys. They got Jonah Coleman. They got Michael Trigg. They got Ashton Hawkins. They got other guys. But Cole Wilson looked to be your playmaker last week. He was making plays all over the field. Michael Trigg as well, but Cole Wilson just looked phenomenal. Have to establish Bryson Washington. You got to establish the run of your own, especially against the SMU team, who I think will be acceptable to Bryson Washington more so than Auburn was. You got to stop the run yourself because SMU is a team that likes to run the ball. Like I said, Kevin Jennings in general. And like I said, they gave up 300 yards on the ground last week. Now, I think a lot of that was due to when Jackie Marshall got hurt. It looked like the floodgates open, but still, you have to protect against the run. And Sawyer Robertson, he has to be more accurate in my opinion. He had some throws last week. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he stunk, but he did miss throws as well last week. And I think Sawyer Robertson, he's kicking himself when he has those throws back. He knows he has to hit himself. He has to be more accurate this week. SMU, run the ball. Chris Johnson Jr. Exactly. Just run the ball. If you can run the ball effectively like Auburn did, you'll get a double-digit lead, win, whatever. But if you can effectively run the ball, that'd be huge. Run Kevin Jennings, self-explanatory. Pressure Sawyer Robertson. I think Sawyer Robertson did miss some throws. I think Baylor O-line did give up some pressures to Sawyer Robertson. Cover Cole Wilson and Michael Trigg, who was the two playmakers last week. Jonah Coleman made some plays in the second half. He got his first catch in the second half. I think he got his first target in the second half. But the main guys he was going to was Cole Wilson and Michael Trigg. Give Romello Brunson the ball. You got to use your playmaker as well, man. Romello Brunson had a huge week last week. Now, Auburn receivers didn't have a huge week last week because they was more so running the ball. Jackson Arnold, I think, went 11 for 17. So you want to give Romelo Brunson the ball. But my winner in this one, SMU. I think SMU is an explosive offense. And if Jackie Marshall isn't back, I look for SMU to be able to do the same thing Auburn did last week, which is to run the football effectively and put up a lot of points, forcing Sawyer Robertson to throw to get them back in this game and making them one-dimensional. So I see SMU taking this game. Next, we got Virginia at NC State. NC State coming into this one is 3.5-point home favorites. This game is 12 o'clock on ESPN2. Now Virginia's coming off the big win against Coastal Carolina. NC State is coming off the almost blown lead against ECU, but they were able to hold on late, I believe, in the red zone and take over and win the game. But it got close. But for UVA, get Cam Ross the ball. He was your playmaker last week against Coastal. You're going to need your playmaker this week against NC State. A really good defense, might I add. Contain CJ Bailey's legs. CJ Bailey had a huge game both through the air and on the ground. I believe he had 300 yards passing, 100 yards rushing. So make sure y'all contain his legs. Next, force turnovers. I think UVA is going to have to force some turnovers. Now, another reason why I said that is because this really wasn't a forced turnover, but it was a turnover nonetheless. When Coastal momentum shifted to me is when they accepted the penalty to get a first down, which was the smart move. You scored a field goal, but you got an opportunity to now go for a touchdown because of a penalty. Smart move. But the third down snap was over MJ Moore's head, and UVA recovered the fumble, and that's when momentum shifted, in my opinion. So you got to force turnovers. Use Chandler Moore's legs and win the field position battle, because I think this game could get a bit, I don't even know if I want to say defensive. I just want to say it could slow up. So that field position would be huge. Now, next, for NC State, you got to play two halves. First half against ECU, you looked phenomenal, looked unstoppable. It looked like you was going to blow them out. But then the second half came, the offense was slow. You were stalling out drives, couldn't stop ECU on third down. Caden Hauser was just having his way. So, got to put two halves of football together. Next. Oh, my God. Contain Chandler Moore's legs. You don't want him to run the ball, just like they don't want CJ Bailey to run the ball. Get the ball to Justin Jolly and Wesley Grimes. Now, Wesley Grimes is the guy that they were using the attack downfield with. Justin Jolly is just an overall great tight end, or Jolie, I should say. He works the intermediate game. He works the short game. He'll get you your first downs. You want to get him the ball. Establish Hollywood Smothers, because you're going to have to establish the run. I think this UVA team is susceptible to the run. And can CJ Bailey repeat last week? Like I said, he had a phenomenal week last week. Now, it slowed up in the second half, but overall, he looked good. Can he repeat? And my winner for this one is NC State at home. I'm not super high on UVA this year. I think NC State is they're a really good ACC team in terms of going against ACC competition. And I think NC State can put up a lot of points against this UVA team. I think UVA may run into trouble putting up points in this game in different periods of time in this game, which will go right into NC State's hand. And plus the home field advantage in this one as well. So I'm rolling with NC State to beat UVA. Now, next, we got a game where a lot of people, including myself, will call this it was an upset. But Ole Miss is coming for revenge against Kentucky on the road. Ole Miss comes to this one ranked 20th and 8.5. Probably changed now. These are odds due to yesterday on FanDuel, but 8.5 point road favorites against Kentucky. Ole Miss have to force third and longs. I think if you force third and longs, you can get to Zach Calzada. He maybe give you the ball, don't convert at a high rate, and you get off the field. I think Ole Miss have to score because last week against Toledo made it a close game. It was 10-2 for a majority of that game last week, and they were still in it. But once Kentucky got to scoring, Toledo had to match the entire time, and it just got away. But if Ole Miss is scoring and make Kentucky have to match them scoring, I think they run away with this game. Stop the run. You got to stop the run with Chip Trainium, the running back for Kentucky. Excuse me. My God, that was last year. Dante Dowdle was the running back this year. My fault. Got to stop the run to Dante Dowdle. Get Trey Harrison the ball. Your receiver transfer from Penn State. And pressure that Calzada. Pressure him. Maybe he turns the ball over. Maybe he makes some bad decisions. Maybe he just throws incomplete passes. inaccurate passes, pressure them. For Kentucky, you gotta make this a low scoring game. Like I said, I think they gotta make this a low scoring game because if they make this a high scoring game, Ole Miss is gonna run away with it because I don't think they're gonna match point for point. I don't think they win a shootout. They make this a low scoring game and hang around. However, they have a chance to win it late. Establish Dante Dowdell, the running back transfer from Nebraska. Get off the field on third downs. You don't want Lane Kiffin to be in his bag, completing third down conversions and going willy-nilly offensively. Calzada has to be an accurate passer because, again, I think Ole Miss is going to be able to put up some points. And protect the football. You can't give Ole Miss extra possessions. But I got Ole Miss winning this one. I think Lane Kiffin's going to have his guys ready, especially losing last year in a game they were not supposed to lose. He's going to have them hungry. He's going to have them ready for revenge. And I think Kentucky offensively is just going to be too stagnant. It's just not going to be enough. And I think Ole Miss actually runs away with this one. Next, we have Kansas at Missouri. Now, Missouri is 6.5-point favorites as of yesterday on FanDuel. Home favorites. This game is 3:30 on ESPN2. Kansas can have an explosive offense, a whole bunch of new pieces outside of Jalen Daniels and Daniel Highshaw. But Daniels obviously has to be effective with his legs. He has to run the ball. If that's a key ingredient in this Kansas offense. Can they establish Daniel Highshaw and LaShawn Williams on the ground? Both running backs for Kansas. Can they be established? Get the ball to Emmanuel Henderson and Cam Pickett. Get two new receivers that they've looked to be the most explosive, the most playmaking receivers that they have so far. Protect the football because Jalen Daniels can't get into a habit of turning the ball over, which was the start of last year, which kind of made last year the year it was. And stay ahead of scheduling. When you're a team like Kansas who really wants to run the ball and get explosive run plays, getting behind the chains can ruin that. So I think they need to stay on schedule. Now, Mizzou, they need to use Bo Perbula legs. He was a gadget guy at Penn State as a quarterback. Like, they brought him in certain packages. That's what I mean by that. But I know now he's the full-time quarterback at Mizzou, but still want him to run. Contain Jalen Daniels' legs, like I said, it's huge in their offense. Force third and longs. Force turnovers. And give Marquise Johnson the ball, man. He looks like to be your playmaker. He's the guy returning from last year, taking over for Theo Wise and Luther Burden. So give him the ball. But my winner is Mizzou. I picked him in the offseason to win. SEC defense I don't think Kansas is going to be able to really move the ball explosively as they want to. I think some of their drives may stall out. And ultimately, I think Mizzou wins up front. I think they win in the trenches. And that's where a lot of games are won and lost. So give me Mizzou to beat Kansas at home. Now, next game. Fresno State at Oregon State. I thought this was a pretty good game, so I wanted to bring it to y'all. This game is 3:30 on the CW Network. Oregon State is 2.5-point home favorites in this one, coming off the loss to Cal, while Fresno State is 1-1, coming off a loss to Kansas and a win against Georgia Southern. Now, Fresno State, to me, I know he has no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, but they go as far as E.J. Warner takes him. If he's playing well, not turn the ball over, he can establish the run with Bryson Danielson and Lukes and Elijah Gilliam, then Fresno State could be a team to look out for in the Mountain West. Which leads me to my next point, to get Bryson Daniels the ball on the ground, a speedy running back, explosive back. He can make plays. Got to get him established. They have to stop the run. I think Oregon State is going to want to run all over Fresno State with Anthony Hankerson, and including the quarterback in Malik Murphy. So you got to stop the run. I think they got to do like Georgia Southern. They got to put up a ton of points. They got to score, because against Georgia Southern, they put up a ton of points. Blowout. Kansas could only muster up 1 touchdown on their opening drive and got blown out from there. And they got to protect the football. Like I said, E.J. Warner has 4 interceptions. Can't be giving Oregon State extra possessions. Now, next, for Oregon State, you got to establish Anthony Hankerson, the running back. You got to stop the run. You got to use your legs if you're Malik Murphy. Force turnovers and make this a low-scoring game. If Oregon State's defense could really sink their teeth into the Fresno State offense, stop them, force them off the field a ton, and just smother that offense like Kansas did, Oregon State is in huge position to win this game. But ultimately, Oregon State got upset by a Mountain West team at home last year. I'm going with another Mountain West team to upset Oregon State at home this year. I'm taking Fresno State. Why? Because that offense can get real explosive, and I think an explosive offense can really bother this Oregon State team. Last year, the run game of Nevada, which was a huge issue for Oregon State, I think Fresno State has a bevy of backs who can get it done on the ground. Oregon State's a really good. I don't want to say really good, but they are really decent. Or I want to say they look to be a really good defense. But offensively, I still got some question marks. So I'm gonna roll with Fresno State and the Mountain West upset over Oregon State. And we're gonna move on to Texas State at UTSA. Now, UTSA did play Texas A&M pretty good for the majority of the game. Texas A&M ran away with it late at home, but Texas State comes into this one now. Another Texas battle, 3:30 on ESPN Plus. UTSA comes into this one as 4.5-point home favorites. For Texas State, you got to pressure Owen McCown. He's the engine that makes UTSA go, in my opinion, outside of Robert Henry Jr., who went crazy against a really good Texas A&M defense last year, which leads me to my next point. They have to stop Robert Henry Jr. He's a really good back for UTSA. Give Bo Sparks the ball, the receiver who has 4 touchdowns already in one game, so you got to get him the ball. Have to score in bunches. The reason why I say that is because I think UTSA offense has the ability to score in bunches. So Texas State has to match that. And lastly, you got to get off the field on third downs. They got to get off the field on third downs because if they don't, UTSA will drive and score. Now for UTSA, you got to protect Owen McCown. Protect him, give him time in that pocket to find open receivers. Establish Robert Henry Jr. Again, enough said. Force turnovers. I think the team that wins the turnover battle will win the game because I think this game is going to be high scoring. Just side note. Get to Brad Jackson, the quarterback for Texas State, and score 7s, not 3. Got to score touchdowns on this one. Field goals to do you no good. And then a game where I think is going to be an offensive firepower game, explosions. I got UTSA. 1, because I think UTSA will get Texas State to blink first. 2, because I think Robert Henry Jr., when all else fails, is a great back to lean on. I think he will be perfect for UTSA to lean on if things start to slow down. And 3, I think UTSA is primed to have a really good year. First game of the season at home, so a home opener. I think they win. So I'm taking UTSA to beat Texas State. Now, here's a game where I thought was really good, and I had a tough time picking. We got West Virginia at Ohio, 4 o'clock on ESPNU. Now, West Virginia comes to this one as 3.5-point road favorites, taking on a pretty good Ohio team who's looking poised to win in the MAC back-to-back. So, West Virginia, you got Rich Rod. They're going to run up tempos. But they got to key in on Parker Navarro, man. Parker Navarro is a stud. He's really the engine for Ohio. We've seen it last week against Rutgers. We've seen it last year, all year. His ability to throw and run is huge for the Bobcats of Ohio. Got to key in on him. Keep Ohio's offense off schedule. Now, granted, I do think Parker Navarro is good enough to where if he gets behind the chains, he can convert on third down still. But Ohio's offense is more successful, just like any offense, to be completely honest, but especially guys who want to run the ball a lot, as in Ohio, their offense is more successful when they're ahead of the chains, not behind. Sustain drives to wear down defense. Now, I say this because, again, they're going to run tempo. Rich Rod wants to go fast. If you can keep that defense on the field while you're doing your tempos and stuff like that, you'll tire out that defense, and later on, it'll work out in the game. Get Jaheim White, the running back, the ball. Can Nico match or play better than Parker Navarro? Because that's going to be huge. Ethan Kelly-Agmanis had a really good game last week for Ohio, and that's why they were able to pull it out in the end. But if Nico can't match, that's going to be tough. Now for Ohio, get Chase Hendricks the ball. He had a huge week last week against Rutgers. He's a slot guy. He's going to get open. Get him the ball. Establish Sia Bangarua. He's going to be key as well because with Parker Navarro is keeping on options or running quarterback design runs, it's going to open up lanes for Sia Bangarua. Or if Sia Bangarua can establish himself, it'll take pressure off of Navarro, which he could take advantage of. Let Navarro run the show. That's pretty explanatory. Let him run the show. Pressure Nico Merchant. Maybe he gives you interception. Maybe he gives you incomplete passes, gets off the field. But you want to pressure the quarterback for West Virginia, and you have to stop the run because last week was really that was the weakness of Ohio. They could not stop the run. They could not get off the field on third downs. You Gotta stop the run to get off the field. That's gonna be huge. But my winner, I'm going with the home upset, y'all. I'm going with Ohio. Ohio was just a couple plays away from beating Rutgers, maybe a stop or two from beating Rutgers. They're back at home, got their home crowd. Parker Navarro, I think, is going to go crazy against this West Virginia defense. And I can see them winning in a shootout, man. I can even see them winning holding West Virginia to like 20 points. But I'm going with Ohio. I'm taking Ohio on the home upset in this one over West Virginia. So I'll take the Bobcats. Next, I thought this was a pretty good group of 5 action as well, so I wanted to talk about it. Western Kentucky at Toledo. Toledo comes into this one at 7.5-point home favorites. This game is 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Like I said, really good defensive performance against Kentucky. Now, Western Kentucky, man, 2 weeks, 2 dubs. Hard for a win against Sam Houston where they ran away with it late. And a blowout win against, I want to say, North Alabama last week. But we'll talk about Western Kentucky first, and that is get Matthew Henry the ball. Like I said, I want to watch more of Matthew Henry because of the Sam Houston game. So this would be a perfect opportunity to watch more of Matthew Henry. But get him the ball. Protect Maverick McAvoy. Got to protect him so he can deliver on-time, on-target throws. It looks like a lot of his stuff with him and Rick Bowie is like schemed perfectly, or schemed well. So you got to protect him in order for him to carry it out. Pressure Tucker Gleason. You want to put pressure on the quarterback. You know, Tucker Gleason can use his legs, but you want to put pressure on him because I think Tucker Gleason can be a little inaccurate when the pressure is on. Stop the run. Because that's what Toledo wants to do that. They want to run Chip Trainium. They want to use Tucker Gleason. Got to stop the run. And you got to get off the field on 3rd downs if you Western Kentucky. You want to get off the field, give Maverick McAvoy the ball so he has more opportunities to put that ball in the end zone. Now, for Toledo, have to be better offensively. They were pretty bad for most of the game against Kentucky until like the last 2 drives. Got to be better because Western Kentucky, in my opinion, is going to put up points. You have to put up points with them. They got to make this a low-scoring game. When they made this a low-scoring game against Kentucky, they were hanging around. They just could not score until Kentucky scored. So it was hanging around though. Pressure Maverick McAvoy, get him off his spots, get him off target. Put pressure on him, and he's not really that much of a runner, so you want to put pressure on him. He's not a statue; he has some mobility, but he's the guy, in my opinion, that don't want to run. Establish Chip Trainium, and get Junior Vanderwalls the ball. That's your guy. That's your best receiver. You want to get him the rock. When he is going, Toledo offense is more than likely moving. But I got Western Kentucky in the upset on the road, man. I think Western Kentucky is just gonna put up points, and I'm not sure on this Toledo offense that much yet. It's fairly new. Continuity still growing. Well, I think Western Kentucky with that week 0 game, they found themselves, and now they have a groove. So I'm going to take Western Kentucky in this one. I'm going to take my Conference USA champ over my MAC champ. So give me Western Kentucky. Next, we have Michigan, 15th ranked Michigan, at 16th ranked Oklahoma. 7:30 on ABC, a ranked matchup. I know this is a highly touted matchup. I can't wait to watch it. For Michigan, you got to contain John Mateer's legs. That is a huge part in this game. He's going to run the ball. He's going to want to escape the pocket. You got to contain him if you're Michigan. Establish Justice Haynes. Had a huge week last week against New Mexico. He's a really good running back, transfer from Alabama. You want to establish him. Expect to see Jaden Ott. So I would say plan to see Jaden Ott. I know he's dealing with a shoulder injury. I saw somewhere he may play. He's looking to be close to 100%. And I don't know how true that is. And, you know, college, you don't really get injury updates until around kickoff. I got to do it now. So I would say expect to see Jaden Ott. Michigan, you want to score first. You on the road. You want to strike first. You want to draw first blood just to let, get the home crowd a little down, a little damper. And you want to force turnovers, you Michigan. That's been huge for Michigan defenses. They've been big on forcing turnovers. So you want to do that. Now, if you're Oklahoma, pressure Bryce Underwood. He's a freshman, first big game of his collegiate career. Let's put the pressure on him and let's see what it do. Let's see, will it make a diamond or will it make him fold? Run John Mateer, score, because if you put the pressure on Michigan to answer, that could bode well for you as Oklahoma. And it kind of takes the ball out of the running back's hands. Stop the run, which is, again. And then Keontae Lewis, can he repeat what he did last week? Had a phenomenal week last week, but this is way better competition. Can he do it again? Because somebody's going to have to step up for receiver for Mateer. And my winner in this one, Boomer Sooner. I took Boomer Sooner in the regular season. Pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I took Boomer Sooner in the regular season. I love the dynamic of Mateer's legs. I think that'll be really big for the Sooners. And I got question marks on Michigan offensively in this year. I've had question marks last year. I don't know if it's still the same. I know Bryce is supposed to be the coveted freshman quarterback. Is he real? Is he not? And I think we'll get that question today. I know what Mateer is going to do in big games. I know Mateer is really good. Just got question marks about Michigan. So, because of those question marks, I'm rolling with the Sooners. Next. Oh, I forgot to write. How did I forget to write this game here? Yeah, hold on. I got to do a banner again. Next is Michigan State. Boston College at Michigan State, but I forgot to write it on here. I don't know how I did that. The rematch in the home from last season where Boston College escaped in the rain last year versus my boys in MSU. We looked really solid last week against Western. We didn't give up any points as a starting defense. As a defense as a whole, we didn't give up any points. The only points came from a backup quarterback throwing a pick six. We looked solid. Kind of looked like old Michigan State football a little bit. I don't want to exaggerate or overreact too much because it was against Western Michigan. So, to me, this is the real test. Has Aiden cut out those mistakes? Is he ready to work? Is the run game back? Do we finally have a run game? Can we establish ourselves on third and fourth short yardage situations? It's a lot of questions that I think this game can answer for me against Boston College. All right, here we go. Boom. And we'll start with Boston College, actually. Ooh, I forgot to change the what you call it. There we go. Now, for Boston College, get Louis Bond the ball. He is the playmaking receiver from last year. He's going to be huge for Boston College against these MSU DBs. You got to get him the ball. Stay ahead of reading the wrong one. Established Turbo Richard. He's the returning back. He didn't start last year. He had I believe he had some starts. But overall, it was Kai and can't remember the other guy's name, but I think he was the transfer from K-State. But he's gonna be big. He's gonna be big in this one. Michigan State got to. Excuse me. Why I keep reading Michigan State stuff? Pressure Aiden Childs. Aiden Childs, like I said, he got some questions to answer for me. And if you're Boston College, pressure him and see if he answers those questions. Forced turnovers, again, can come from pressuring Aiden Childs. Can you strip at the ball from the running backs? Who knows? But they got to force turnovers. And stay ahead of schedule. I know Bill O'Brien and this offense wants to stay ahead of schedule. Putting them behind the chains will be big if you're Michigan State. Now, granted, speaking of Michigan State, protect the football. Protect the football. No stupid picks. No stupid fumbles. No, bot snaps. None of that. Protect the football. Because we fumbled on the kick return last year in the second half, and that was huge. Win the field position battle, because I think defensively it could get a little dicey. And what I mean by that is both defenses can start to settle in and offenses really not get anything done. Establish the run. Again, that is a big question mark of mine. But if MSU can establish the run, that is very dangerous with these receivers and what Aiden Childs can do with his arm. I think this is a game. I know we got a bevel of receivers. We got Nick Marsh. We got Amari Kelly. We got Christian McCray. We got a ton of guys. But I think this is the game where you get Nick Marsh involved early. You get him involved early and often. Let him just go crazy, run wild. And Aiden Childs has to use his legs. You got to add that dimension. You can't just be a drop back guy. I know that's what you want to do, Cali guy, but you have legs. You got to use them. And my winner for this one is MSU. I think we get payback this year. I think we're a better team. I think some of these questions that I have will be answered. We will be able to establish the run. Childs won't make the same mistakes. I think Nick Marsh does put his imprint of the game early, him and Amari Kelly. And I think we'll just be a tough matchup for Boston College to stop. So give me MSU at home to take this game. Next, we have Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech. Vanderbilt coming in this one, beating Virginia Tech at home at their house last year. This is a home and home. Now they're facing Virginia Tech at their house. So, Vandy, Diego Pavia has to take over, just like last year. Pavia took over last year, went to OT, but ultimately won it. Just Pavia has to take over. Stop the run, contain Kyron Jones' legs, get the ball to Eli Stowers, and establish Cedric Alexander. Now, if you're Virginia Tech, protect the football. Kyron Jones had 2 interceptions, one in the red zone. I can't remember where the other one was. I want to say the other one was while driving too. But he had 2 bad interceptions. I think the second one was like towards the end of the game. Take away Eli Stowers. Make somebody else beat you in the passing game. Eli Stowers, we know that's Diego Pavia's go-to guy. That's his comfortability. That's his security blanket. Make someone else beat you. Score 7s, not 3s. Last week, Virginia Tech could not score a touchdown at all, which I feel like would have put more pressure on South Carolina to win if they would have scored touchdowns. They were scoring field goals. South Carolina never relinquished the lead because of it, and ultimately took a punt to the crib and ended the game essentially. And the defense has to play like last week. Last week, the defense was phenomenal. They shut down the run for South Carolina. Lenore Sellers, he made plays with his legs. Don't get me wrong. He did have plays that were made. But they did a pretty good job on Lenore Sellers as well. Outside that first drive, South Carolina really didn't establish much until the punt return and then the Nick Harbor touchdown. So that Virginia Tech defense could play like it did last week, that'd be huge. But my winner in this one is Vandy, man. I know they did a good job against Lenore Sellers, but Diego Pavia, he's just a vet. He's more polished. He's just so good. And I don't know if they stop him like that. Pavia just makes a way out of no way. I'm not the biggest Kyron Jones fan, as y'all know. So I think Vanderbilt takes this game as a road dog. And the last game I have for y'all is UCLA versus UNLV. UCLA coming off a big loss to Utah last week, while UNLV is coming off a win against Sam Houston last week. This game is 8 o'clock on CBSN. I thought I clicked it. I have to change that. This game is on CBSN. Now, for UCLA, they got to force turnovers. They're going against Calandria. They got to force some turnovers. Keying on Jaden Thomas, he's going to be huge for UNLV. To me, he's the engine for UNLV. They could stop him, force Calandria to beat them in the air. It'll bode well for them. Nico decision making will be key. Will he make the right decisions? Will he not? Will he protect the football? Can he run? Will he choose the right times to run? His decision making is key. Contain Anthony Calandria's legs, and you have to establish or have to match UNLV offense because UNLV can score at a high rate. Got to match them offensively. Now, for UNLV, Calandria, protect the ball. Again, no turnovers because I know what Calandria does. Them fourth quarter interceptions, they be huge. Don't let Nico run. Make Nico have to sit back there and find a man. Get Jaden Bradley the ball. Had 2 huge weeks. Establish Jaden Thomas and get off the field on third downs. But my winner, going with the road upset again, man. Home upset this time. Going with UNLV. Going with UNLV. I got a lot of questions about this UCLA offense. Is this UCLA defense even the same as of years past? Are they a tough defense? Are they stout? I get it. Devin Dampier, Josh Beck took the Mountain West by storm offensively last year, and they did another good job this year, putting up 43 against UNLV. Against UCLA. But who's to say UNLV can't put up 30? And how will UCLA look against this UNLV team? I don't know. So I'm going to take UNLV in this one. UCLA leaves a lot of question marks. So does UNLV. But I think I have more question marks with UCLA than UNLV. And UNLV is at home. Road dog. And I feel like they have the confidence with Dan Mullen that they can beat this team. So I'm going to roll with UNLV on this one. Now, this will be the end of the show, but like I said, I had to do poll talk. I have not talked about these polls. So we have a new updated poll. We got to talk about them as I bring them up on my phone. Oh, and by the way, next week, my record should be up on the screen. That's on me. I forgot to tell Joe my record so he can do the graphics. So that's 100% on me. So shout out to Joe for even being willing to do that. But let's get to these rankings. At 1, we have Ohio State. At 2, we have Penn State. At 3, we have LSU. At 4, we have Georgia. At 5, we have Miami. At 6, or Miami University, the U. At 6, we have Oregon. At 7, we have Texas. At 8, we have Clemson. At 9, we have Notre Dame. At 10, we got South Carolina. At 11, we got Illinois. At 12, we got Arizona State. 13, Florida. 14, Florida State. 15, Michigan. 16, Iowa State. 17, SMU. 18, Oklahoma. 19, Texas A&M. 20 is Ole Miss. 21, Alabama. 22, Tennessee. 23, Indiana. 24, Texas Tech. And rounding out the top 25, we have Utah at 25. Now, granted, here's some of the issues I have with the poll. 1 through 5, I am 100% okay with. Maybe jump the U over Georgia, but I mean, I'm not harping on that. I mean, Georgia's the SEC team, former SEC champ. While Miami did get a top 10 win against Notre Dame, I can see why they have Georgia at 4. They're a really good team, and I mean, they can't help they play Marshall week 1. My gripes come with the bottom of the top 25. Utah should not be ranked yet. I think they should be on the cusp. Don't get me wrong. They explored a lot, and I even said when that game was over, oh, man, I might have underestimated what Jason Beck and Devin Dampier can do. But TCU should be ranked. Now, a lot of people say, oh, Carl, you think they should be ranked because they beat North Carolina? No. I thought they should have been ranked coming into the matchup with North Carolina. I thought they should have at least been a top 25 team into that matchup. And that matchup should have showed why they should have been ranked coming into that matchup. They bring back Josh Hoover. They bring back Eric McAllister. They bring in a Kavorian Barnes. They bring back like 6 pieces, including Bud Clark and Emmanuel Obizower, the linebacker for TCU. They bring back those guys. They bring in bring back Deal. They have the pieces from last year. That was a really good team. I thought they were a top 25 team coming into the season. So I thought they should be at least 25th, and Utah should be on the cusp of being ranked. Maybe somebody fall off. Now, I've seen somebody complain about K-State not being top 25. Somebody, well, they only lost 1 game, and that was against ranked Iowa State. They were 21st in the country. Bruh, that's fine and all until you in a sweaty match or you in a close one with North Dakota. Not even North Dakota State. And y'all know I respect FCS, mid-major, group of 5, all that. But you're at home, and you're coming off a loss, and you give that type of showing where you have to go and win the game. You have to have a game-winning drive against North Dakota. It's not like you won by a touchdown or North Dakota came down late and scored, and you had to run the clock out. No, you had to go take this game. If Avery Johnson did not maneuver that drive, you lose. So Kansas State definitely should not be in the top 25. And this is a team I had winning the Big 12. No way they should be ranked. So if you complain about K-State being ranked, you're crazy. I have no issues with Florida State being 14th. Beat the 8th ranked Alabama team. Were they ranked too high? Maybe. But I think Florida State showed that they were a good team. So I'm not mad at them being that high. I really have no quarrels right now with the rankings, to be completely honest. The only thing I have for real is TCU should be ranked. And Utah should be right on the outside. That's my only issue. Other than that, I'm fine. And with that being said, that is the end of my week 2 preview. We have about 4 hours until college football kicks off. I unfortunately will be at work. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. But y'all enjoy, man. Y'all enjoy these early matchups. I will be back. I should be back tomorrow before NFL kickoff to recap, this week in college football week 2. So y'all be on the lookout for that. But until then, I'm gone. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.